All right. Welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight on Twitter. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And I'd like to start out by saying I do apologize. I haven't been on for a couple of weeks. And, during that time, the Buccaneers have gone through a three-game skid where they've just have not performed like they should. And I think with injuries occurring where they've been happening and a lot of untimely penalties and just a lot of different things have just kind of come into play. And you kind of see where this team is still growing. I personally looked at this team as a six-win team this season, and I'm really happy with where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are right now. A lot of people may not be, but you have to look at the bigger picture. You've got a rookie quarterback who's exceeded expectation to so many people, and he's made plays and he's kept the Buccaneers in games. But you do see times where he has made mistakes, and that's to be expected from a rookie player. And at the end of the day, he's correcting those. He's getting better every week. He's improving. So for me, I'm excited about the prospect of next season. Um, Another thing that I noticed that really stood out to me is the absence of Vincent Jackson and the absence of Quan Alexander. I realize when you talk about next man up, having that kind of mentality, but we can go all the way back to Raheem Morris and the general manager at the time, Mark Dominic, and you look at all the failures in draft picks. It's just mind-boggling. All the misses that came along with the Mark Dominic era. You know what? People can you can say what you want to about the guy, and I look at a lot of the moves that he made, and to me, this is what hurt us. When you have a turnover, you continually have a turnover with your draft picks. Draft picks don't pan out. Draft picks get traded. Players come in, players go. You can't build a foundation with a result revolving door. Now, you couple that with the number of head coaches that we've had, and that's a recipe for disaster. And I know a lot of people are saying fire Lovey and let's get rid of Lovey, and Lovey's the reason that we're not winning. No, that's not the case. You have to look at the grand picture here. And what you have to look at is this team has not had any kind of depth for a long time in multiple positions. With the emergence of Doug Martin and Bobby Rainey and Mike James, we've done pretty good with the running back position. So that's never been an issue. Wide receivers, you know, here and there, nothing consistent, nothing that's game breaking. And now we're starting to get to a place where the last couple of drafts, 2014 and 2015 drafts, have been very offense heavy, and you can see the results of that in the way the offense is playing right now. Not to mention the fact that we do have a viable offensive coordinator in Dirk Cutter. Dirk Cutter has done an exceptional job, and if you look at last year's two-win team versus this team, it's like night and day. Night and day. You can just tell the difference. The play calling, and I'll even go a step further. We do have a quarterback. I'm looking at all these other teams out there in the NFL right now that are hurting in the quarterback position. The Dallas Cowboys and the loss of Tony Romo and the struggles that they've had. The Cleveland Browns and the revolving door quarterback situation they've had. The Houston Texans. And believe it or not, the Houston Texans are going to the playoffs, but they've continually had quarterback issues as well. So it's different now that we're as an outsider looking in, when you have a quarterback. And I know there are still a lot of skeptics out there, still a lot of people that are waiting for Jameis Winston to fail. Some of them are alleged Bucks fans that are just sitting there waiting for him to fail. I'm not buying into him yet. Okay, cool. That's fine. Everybody roots for a team in a different way. I'm not knocking anybody, but I'm saying this guy is the real deal. And I promise you that every other team in our division is looking at Jameis Winston and saying, wow, this guy's only a rookie and he's playing like this. He's going to get better. I mean, you have to look at it that way. I mean, yeah, he's made mistakes, but the way he's played and the way he's at times put the team on his shoulder to try to get that win. Case in point, the Atlanta Falcons game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Atlanta Falcons game, December 6th. Just the play, the vibe, the energy that he brings to the team, it's contagious, and you really see it. Now, kind of, I didn't mean to get off point here, but just kind of getting back to the draft, you see where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have scored a lot in the last couple of drafts. And there are players that are no longer on this team that are playing for other teams. So, um, yeah, they may not have fit what Tampa wanted to do, but they were talent, and they were able to get the opportunity to play here, but it didn't work out, and they went somewhere else, and they caught on. I look at Joey Osefa, the running back, or as you call him, fullback running back for the New England Patriots now. He was on the practice squad, and they moved him up because they saw something in him, and they were able to use him at some point in time. Just players like that. Uh, the We did have a kick return specialist from Utah, and he actually returned a kick for Kalen Clay. Returned a kick for the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens, and he did good, 78-yard kick return, and he's making plays. So I'm really confident in what the front office is able to do. Lovey Smith, Jason Light, putting their heads together and getting picks. Props to the scouting department because they play an equally big part in getting these players or finding these players and identifying, who would fit in this system. Now, in talking about the draft, you see players like Kevin Pamphil, players like Charles Sims, uh, Mike Evans, and Jameis Winston. You have players that have come in immediately and contributed. Oh, and I don't want to forget the guy, Alexander the Great, Quan Alexander. His presence is sorely missed with this defense. Excuse me. I feel like, with him, he really gets this defense fired up. He's somebody that you can really get behind and really see what he's capable of doing out there and making those big plays. So uh, I can't wait next year to see what Quad Alexander and Levante David will be able to do. So that's just another part of it that I've seen, and these are all positives to me. Um, let's talk about the offensive line. I can tell you at the beginning of the season, my concern, and a lot of people thought I was crazy, was the secondary, and I didn't think that the secondary got addressed. I didn't think the defensive line got addressed like it should have either. A lot of people were looking at the offensive line, but once again, we talk about the draft. Donovan Smith, he's played good at times, and at times he's played like a rookie. It's a learning process. As long as we have a healthy quarterback, he's doing his job. Ali Marpet, a guy that you've heard me in the beginning of the draft, even right after the draft when we drafted him, and I had big hopes for this guy, and he's been playing like he should. So another piece to the puzzle. These are all first and second year players that are contributing to this team. So you can kind of see where it's starting to build up. And now we have sort of a foundation. Now we can go out into this next draft and find defensive players that'll fit in here, and possibly, I'm not hanging my hat on a lot of stuff, but possibly going out and getting some free agents that you could sprinkle in here and there. But the majority of this team, as we're seeing right now, are being built through the draft. So it's something to be excited about. Now, I know a lot, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and people are saying, well, Lovie Smith got this free agent. Lovie Smith got this guy. Lovie Smith got this guy. If you really sit back and look at free agency, I would say over the past 2 or 3 years, there haven't been a lot of players that are just like game changers out there that are available to get and come in and make an impact on a team. Not like I'm trying to think like with Tampa, I would have to say Vincent Jackson is probably, I would say him or Hardy Nickerson maybe, two of the bigger game changers that have come in through free agency into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and made an impact the way they have. Simeon Rice. There are others. Don't get me wrong. There are others, but just the ones that popped into my head recently and in the past were Vincent Jackson, Hardy Nickerson. But what I'm seeing right now is a team that's they're headed in the right direction. The losses may not look like it. These heartbreaking games that the Bucks could easily win, but they let get away from them, whether it's penalties or whether it's just bad play, just turnovers. These types of things are coachable. These types of things are changeable. So next season, it's exciting to me. I'm already looking forward to next season, seeing what Jameis Winston's going to do, seeing what this defense is going to turn into. Because I can tell you right now, there's going to be a lot of turnover in the defensive position. And we need to, at this point, when you're looking at this team, you need to start building that foundation. And I think with Levante David and Quan Alexander playing like he is, two very young guys, and we have the Tony McDaniels and some of the other players that we have that are making big contributions and really giving this team something to kind of look forward to. Jacquez Smith, he's a guy that you won't. He doesn't get a lot of props, but he's a guy I really like. I think that he could definitely stay here in Tampa and really help to contribute to this team and build that foundation where we could rotate players in. If somebody gets injured, next man up, it's going to be somebody that can actually come in and help this team win a game, not just come in and fill a position. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to and seeing what's going to happen. I realize, we've seen a lot of the bend, don't break defense, but on the secondary end of it, these are players that to me, they just don't fit this type of system. And there are times where you see them getting players getting beat real bad, players playing out of position. Quarterbacks are killing the Bucks with short passes, and they're turning into long gains, not being able to get the three and outs. Just so many things are going on here, and on top of that, your secondary and your front line, they all work together. They all work together. So when the front line, your front four is getting pressure on the quarterback, sometimes you may blitz a linebacker or something like that to disrupt everything. Those cornerbacks have to be able to keep that receiver from defend that receiver and keep him from getting the ball, and that's how you get your turnovers. So, like I said, the Bucks are headed in the right direction. Record-breaking rookie performance by Jameis Winston. He's a guy that everybody has said they didn't. Everybody. And I mean, you can say, "Oh, I expected this and this from him." Okay, that's cool. But the majority of the people did not expect this type of performance out of Jameis Winston. Everybody was looking at the quarterback over in Tennessee and what he could do. And to me, that's just an unfair comparison. I don't like comparing players. And I'm gonna put this out here right now. There was a lot of grief on Gerald McCoy, and people are continually. When you mention Gerald McCoy, somebody automatically mentions Warren Sapp. Why can't Gerald McCoy just be Gerald McCoy? That's the kind of thing that really it's frustrating for me, especially for me, because it's not fair to him. Gerald McCoy is Gerald McCoy. That's his legacy right there. His legacy has nothing to do with what Warren Sapp did. Warren Sapp played in a different era, a more violent era of football. Today, we play in a Diet Coke version of football from the 90s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s up till now. Totally different game. The game is more beneficial for the offense than it is for the defense. And I could go on and on about this, but it's a different game, different era, different types of people, different philosophy. Back in the day, it was run the ball, and pass the ball a little bit. Now you're seeing record yardage numbers. I mean, the past 5 6 years, just these numbers are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and these receivers that are coming out of college are getting better, and it's really, that's pretty much how it is. So for me, I try to limit my comparisons, and because like I said, it's not fair to either player. For instance, Jameis Winston going one, Marcus Mariota going two. You had the Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf deal, uh, Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, I could go on and on and on about these quarterbacks or these different players where there's always going to be that comparison. And like I said, it's not fair. It is definitely not fair to either player. And at the end of the day, I think they both done good. When Mariota's been healthy, he's impressed me being able to be under center, being able to do his check downs, being able to read a defense, all the stuff that all these big time prognosticators were saying he wouldn't be able to do. He would fail. And same goes with Jameis Winston. Everybody, oh, Jameis Winston's going to be a turnover machine. Jameis Winston's going to throw all these interceptions. Jameis Winston's going to fail, blah, blah, blah. You know what? They both done good. They both shut up the haters. So my hat's off to them, props to them, and you look at what the quarterback class of this year has done. It's phenomenal to see exactly what these guys have done. I mean, they've really put up some big numbers according to different statistics, and what makes it really exciting, excuse me, what makes this really exciting for me is the spirit of competition. And as teams as like Tennessee will get more pieces. Tennessee will get people in free agency that'll want to come down and play, and get them more competitive and put them in the hunt for possible playoff victories. And that's what's exciting for me, because you look at Tennessee and where they've been throughout all of this. And it's a shame. Their fan base used to be, they used to have a really good fan base, and to see what they are right now is pretty sad. But I really do feel like they're going to come around as well. So it's something that, like I said, I love a good game. So it's really exciting to see that kind of competition, and it's really great. And it's funny. There was a stat that Greg Allman had put up, and basically, quarterbacks drafted in 2014 have 151 career touchdown passes in 2 seasons, almost double the 79 career touchdowns from the quarterback class in their 2013 in their 3 seasons. So that's saying a lot. I mean, you really see what special classes we've had in a quarterback this year, and they've exceeded everybody's expectations, and that's really exciting to see stuff like that. So that's kind of been my rant. Going into the coming all the way from the regular season all the way up to now, and I'm happy. I'm really happy with what the Bucks have done, and I know a lot of people were expecting more, or some people weren't even expecting that. I've heard some people say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were expected to be a 2-win team at the beginning of the season. So they've, like I said, they've exceeded a lot of expectations. And speaking of that, since I've been on, the Bucks have played the Chicago Bears. They played the St. Louis Rams, And yeah, those are the two big games, the Rams and the Bears. And what I found in those games, that the Bucks were in those games. They weren't blowouts. These weren't games where the Bucks were just outmatched. And I've been saying that since the beginning of the season. The majority of the games the Bucks have had on their schedule are games that were winnable. Teams didn't really strike fear in my heart, and I thought that these are all teams that the Buccaneers could have beaten. And we look at you look at their schedule, the last three games, the Saints, the Rams, and the Bears. These are all teams that are struggling at one point or another throughout the season. These are all, like I mentioned, winnable games. Now, the big thing that sticks out to me, and I've been griping about this, and like I mentioned, this has been going on for years and years and years, going all the way back to John Gruden, is the penalties. It's the penalties. It's crazy. Uh, every time the Buccaneers get a chance to do something big, you have a penalty that drags you right back down. Case in point, uh, on Sunday, there was a pick six touchdown, and this would have put the Bucks up 14. I believe it was 14-0 at the time. I think. All these games are kind of all jumbled together here. But Altron Werner gets a face mask penalty, 15-yard penalty, and drive killer, drive killer. It is just it's crazy, you know. And I'm not going to put this all on the defense. I'm not going to put this all on the offense. It's a lot of blame to go around. There's a lot of different things going on here. Despite the penalties, you had the turnovers. You had Doug Martin and his two fumbles, and that really hurt the Bucks as well. And these are points that are not you're not able to get on the board, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown or field goal. Either way would have put us that much closer to winning that game against Chicago, because we were as a whole, they were doing a pretty decent job of keeping them from getting the score, running the score up. So what you see is a young team, a team that's still pretty new to each other, that's learning how to put everything together. And that's where and that's kind of my theme throughout this show today, is keeping the hope for next season, because you saw a lot of big plays. You saw big plays from Doug Martin, Charles Sims, 50-yard touchdown. That was impressive. That kid, that's the reason Lovie Smith and Jason Light drafted him. I heard so many. Oh my goodness! I wish I had kept all the my Twitter feed, for people that were griping about, why did we get Sims? Why did we bring Sims in here? Sims is a change of pace back, and I'm telling you what, you get him speed. That's when you talk about speed and space. It's Charles Sims. That's what he will do. He'll gouge it. He will gouge a defense. And another player that really emerged is somebody that I quietly, I really started liking him, and I wish he would get more playing time, is Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate has been reliable. While Austin Seferian Jenkins was out, this guy, he was catching balls, man. And you know what? I really wish they could have utilized him a little bit more. I would even be cool with a two tight end set. Just get him out there, get him in space. He can stretch the field. He can get you that first down. And I hate that they've limited his playing time. I know that you rotate in your tight ends, but he was hot. I would have kept him in personally, and that's just me. And I keep coming. I keep going back and forth on offense, defense, because these things are kind of popping up in my head. But I go back to these three games, and I kind of mentioned this at the beginning of the show, and you can really see where Vincent Jackson was missing. Vincent Jackson has found this role as a possession receiver. I've seen Vincent Jackson block, and it kind of reminds me of Larry Fitzgerald here. Larry Fitzgerald is not afraid to block, and that's what I love about that guy. He'll get out there, he'll stick his nose in there, and he'll block, and he's not afraid to. But it seems like with this offense, the offense runs good And when there's momentum, when there's no turnovers, no penalties, the offense is rolling and they get into a rhythm. And I know that Mike Evans has had according to most standards, a bad season. But people have to keep in mind that Mike Evans has only been playing football for 5 years total. 5 years total. And he played his senior year of high school. He played 2 years in college where he was redshirted 1 year. And he played last season and he's finishing up this season. So, I know a lot of people are like Mike Evans needs to get his head in the game, blah, 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 whatever. You have to look at the big picture, not just looking at what Mike Evans did this season, but look at what happened. Look what kind of offense he was in at Texas A&M. Mike Evans was not the cleanest route runner. His route running has improved for over last season. So I'm seeing gradual improvement from Mike Evans. And as far as I'm concerned, yeah, he's dropped passes. And there have been times where, Tampa could have won games had he caught certain passes, but he's still learning how to play football. 5 years is not a lot of time. I mean, when you got players out, NFL players that have been playing since, age 8, 7, 8, 9, and then you got this guy who decided, he's a former basketball player, but he's playing football and he excelled at it. And look what you have. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, this is the sophomore slump. And to get 1,000 yards in your sophomore season, you're a rookie in your sophomore season. That's commendable. I don't care what is, what you could say whatever you want to about his play on the field, the drop passes, and how many more yards he could have had. That's all in the past. There's nothing you can do about it. But what I'm looking at are the positives here. I mean, a lot of people you can dwell on the negatives if you want to, but what I'm seeing is a potential starting receiver who can potentially go to the Pro Bowl. If he hones his craft, if he keeps putting in work, if he gets in there and does what he's supposed to do and learns the subtleties of being a wide receiver in the NFL, can you push off here? Can you get away with certain plays? I think he's going to be just fine. I really do. I think that he just needs a little bit more mentoring, and I think he's going to be just fine personally. So Mike Evans, I thought he had a great season. He's over 2,000 yards in 2 years, which to me is great. Uh, you look at the receivers that the Buccaneers have had in the past. Your Mike Williams, your Michael Clayton, some of these other receivers that just haven't done what they needed to do. So to me, I'm excited about it. So that's another guy that I'm looking forward to seeing next year. So I've got a few more minutes before I have to get off. I'm going to jump on my other podcast here shortly, uh, Southbound and Down. If you get a chance to check it out, please do. Great show, great group of guys. We talk about the NFC South and possibly and we look at the games over the past week and we look at the games coming up, and we have a big game coming up against the Carolina Panthers. Now, normally, uh, the team I dislike more than anybody in the NFC South is the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm really happy that we were able to sweep them and shut them up. I'm just sick of them. But anyway, besides that, this week we have a rematch with the Carolina Panthers, and Jameis Winston had arguably his worst game in his short career, and that happened to be against the Carolina Panthers. Josh Norman, Josh Norman played a great game. Uh, Jameis Winston threw 4 interceptions, and it was just a miserable game that it really could have gone better than what it did. That being said, I look at this game as a game of redemption, a game that I'm sure Jameis Winston had marked on his calendar as a game where he can go back out and see where he stacks up now compared to that game earlier on in his career and earlier on in the season. So I'm excited about this game. Win or lose, the Carolina Panthers have been, you know, they've been in the news and they were undefeated up until they ran up against the Atlanta Falcons. But they played good, and I think this will definitely be a good test for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so that we can see, the Bucs can see where they are, where they stack up against a team like the Carolina Panthers. Now, yesterday I was on the CP podcast with the Carolina Panthers, and we talked about the game. And I was asked point blank, do you think that the Carolina Panthers are going to decisively beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And I honestly said, this is a division game. Anything can happen in a division game. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still dangerous. I think they can beat the Carolina Panthers. And I stand by what I say. Based on what I saw in that game against Carolina earlier on in the season, I do believe that a lot of these players are a lot healthier. We have a lot of players that have matured, a lot of players that were rookies that have really stepped up and really improved their game over time. So I believe this, when you look at this game, this is not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from, what is it, week 4. This is not the week 4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a totally different team. You've got a quarterback that is a stickler for improving his game. He's a stickler for getting better. He's the guy that's always looking at game film. He's the guy that wants to make everybody else around him better, and you can see that. So you could see where Jameis Winston is growing into this leadership role, and I know that a lot of people have already written this game off as Carolina's going to win, but please do not be surprised if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win it all, or win this game, excuse me. So, with that being said, that's what I'm looking at. And my keys to the game: Jameis Winston has to keep his emotions in check. Jameis Winston has to play mistake-free football. The offense, let's not go backwards. Let's go forwards. The offensive line has to protect the quarterback, and Doug Martin, he can't have any turnovers. That was costly. Mike Evans has to catch the ball, and on the defensive side, no penalties, no costly penalties, and we need takeaways here. The Buccaneers haven't had takeaways for a couple of weeks now, and that's really showing in getting teams off the field, so that we're giving the offense the ball in a better position to move the ball. So what you're seeing right now is, to me, a winnable game. I realize that they only have one loss. The Carolina Panthers only have one loss. Yeah, I'm good with that. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers they need this game too. They need this game to point them in the right direction going into the offseason. Beating a team that only had one loss, and going into their house and winning that game is important. It's going to set the tone. It can potentially set the tone going into next season. And I really expect even bigger things from this team going into next season. So something I'm hyped about it. I really am. And like I said, I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game, and I think that everybody will have their head right, and I think you're going to see a different team. I think that they are going to go in and win this game. But anyway, I want to thank everybody that's checking me out. Please, if you get a chance, negative, positive comments. I'm not much of a trash talker myself. Some of the other guys that I listen to, they make these diss videos and stuff. I like talking football. I'm not going to give you. I don't want to give you emotion. I'm going to give you what I see. When I watch game film, this is what I see, and that's where I'm coming from with all this. It's not so much, oh, I feel like, or I want this to happen, but it's, basically looking at what we have going against what the other team has. And I really do believe that this team is better than the 6 wins that they had this season. They really are. Just like I said last season, that's the best Tampa was the best 2-win team I've ever seen. And there were just so many extenuating circumstances with that game that it was just it was just a bad storm. No offensive coordinator, and yeah, you've heard me go through all this, but at the end of the day, this six wins this season does not reflect how good this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team can be. So stay tuned, folks. This is going to be exciting. Um, Check me out. And I will have my t-shirts, Buck What You Heard t-shirts. I'm working on the hats and the t-shirts right now, getting geared up for next season. Hopefully, anybody that I'm meeting here, like my show, follow me. I'll follow you back. I want to meet as many Bucks fans as possible because this is going to be exciting. This season coming up is going to be it's going to be something to see. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody. You know what? It's a Bucks life. I know that's the thing. And we just have to be patient, Bucks fans. It's going to get better. I promise you. I've been standing here since the 70s, and I can tell you right now, it's going to get better. Trust and believe. All right, everybody, have a good night. Peace.